2010s was a very mixed decade for animated movies. Most of the major studios had fully committed to using CGI for their films, pretty much killing mainstream 2D animated features, with only a few exceptions like Winnie the Pooh or whatever. And with CGI turning out to be much more cost-effective compared to traditional hand-drawn animations, it allowed more studios to come into the ring and try their hand at rivaling the likes of Disney or DreamWorks. One of those studios was Sony Pictures Animation. Now they got their start all the way back in 2006, with their first major release Open Season, which was a moderate success and showed the world that they were capable of making relatively popular movies. I said popular, didn't say good. Over the next few years, they continued to have minor success with films such as Surf's Up, but still, nothing managed to even somewhat compete with the likes of Disney and Pixar. This all started to shift, however, in the year 2009, with the release of one of their most popular films to date, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. This was just a simple, fun movie about a guy building an invention that creates food that falls from the sky, while trying to gain the approval of his town and father. And while not the biggest financial hit out there, this film was one of the first times where I'd argue Sony broke out into the mainstream. Everybody I knew at the time watched and loved this movie. We'd quote lines from it and marvel at the amazingly creative animation, which was unlike anything really that was being produced by the other studios at the time. And well, okay, we don't talk about the sequel, but point being, I think Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs was a sign of things to come. That maybe Sony couldn't exactly make stuff on the same caliber of Disney or DreamWorks, but instead they could do their own thing, and make sure they do a good job at standing apart from the competition. And with the start of a new decade, Sony really struck gold, with the release of the 2012 film Hotel Transylvania, a movie which features Dracula building a hotel for monsters to stay in so they can be protected from humans. In the decade since its initial release, we've continued to get 3 sequel movies, a television series, a bunch of video games and merchandise. It's safe to say this thing was a hit. Now, I really enjoyed the first one when it came out. I was a big fan. Despite this though, I never returned to watch any of the sequels. They simply never interested me. But even then, they continued to come out, and be big hits with an overall collected box office of $1.3 billion. Maybe I should have kept up with it. Perhaps I was missing some quality entertainment. So with the recent release of the 4th and perhaps final film of the series, I figured that this would be the perfect time to check out the entire franchise and see what I missed out on. If not to enjoy it, then to at least find out how the franchise managed to last this long. So here it is, the Hotel Transylvania Retrospective. But first, I get a lot of questions about my name. Why LS Mark? What does the L stand for? It has long been believed that it stood for many things, such as Love Sonic, or that it represents all the L's I take for my bad opinions. But that's just preposterous. My opinions are fact, as we all know. Well, let it be known that on this day, the L has a new meaning. It officially stands for Lord, because I just got this plot of land in Scotland from today's sponsor,
Established Times.
This video is sponsored by Established Titles. Established Titles is based on a Scottish tradition of landowners being referred to as lairds or lords and ladies in English. Established Titles is a company that aims to preserve the picturesque woodlands and biodiversity of Scotland by allowing you to purchase as little as 1 square foot of land in Scotland, and in return you can now officially call yourself a lord or lady. And with every order they even plant a tree, working with charities such as One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future. You can also use the plot number to look at the exact location on a map. It makes for the perfect last-minute Valentine's gift, as you can even get a couples pack, where you can get an adjoining piece of land. If not, you can always just get it for yourself and force everyone to call you a lord or lady. This means you can even get it on a ton of stuff such as your credit card or plane tickets. Established Titles is currently having a massive Valentine's Day sale, just for you guys, and on top of that sale you can get an additional 10% off any purchase you make with discount code LSMark. So click the link below or go to establishedtitles.com/LSmark and use promo code LSMark to save an extra 10% today. And thanks to Established Titles for sponsoring this video. Alright, now with all that out of the way, let's finally get into it. The original Hotel Transylvania. Now, I haven't seen this thing all the way through since it came out back in 2012. I loved it, but is it possible that a 10-year-old didn't have the best opinions on an animated movie? It's hard to believe, but let's just be cautious either way. So without further ado, here it is. After sitting through this film for the first time in a decade, my main takeaway was, wow, I forgot how basic this thing was. That's not automatically a negative. I'd rather a movie be simple and convoluted, but I really did forget how straightforward and short it is. Hotel Transylvania stars Dracula, played by the man, the myth, the guy who can only do one voice for everything and even then isn't very good at that, Adam Sandler. Like previously mentioned, he's built this hotel for the purpose of being able to protect all the monsters who regularly have to live in the shadows. Why he doesn't just let them stay there all the time? I don't know, they don't really go into the monster economy and stuff, but you know, more specifically, he's using it as a way to protect his daughter, Mavis, who's the only thing he has left after the death of his wife, who... Did Did they literally just take Adam Sandler's actual wife and draw her as a vampire? Cool, alright. Anyways, with his daughter turning 118 and wanting to see more of the world, Dracula is doing anything he can to try and prevent her from leaving, even if it means lying. However, this all takes a turn when a human called Johnny finds a way into the hotel, and immediately hits it off with Mavis. And so now Dracula's gonna take a while to get used to, has to do all he can to prevent her from leaving. Again, simple. There isn't even really a villain to speak of, unless you want to count this chef guy, but I don't because he isn't really in it that much. I like that Drac almost works as both the protagonist and antagonist. I think he's the best part of the film. Despite consistently making shitty decisions and lying to people, they do a good job at making you understand why he's like that, and what the reason is behind his motives. Stops him from becoming an unlikable character. All the characters are pretty likable actually, I don't think there's a bad one in the bunch. I feel like as a result of them focusing on Drax so much causes Mavis to be a tad underdeveloped. We aren't really given much of a reason for her wanting to leave other than just her wanting to leave, you know? But you know, it works. It's not unheard of for someone to just want to go and do something for a while. I just wish that maybe she were a little more fleshed out. Give us a scene of her and only her. Or show us from her perspective what it's like living at the hotel. Show us how routine her life is, and therefore why she'd want to explore, you know? I like Jonathan too, more than I thought I would. When they introduced him, it all came back. I remember now why I didn't watch any of the sequels. So listen, all you singers from here to Beijing, you better crash the box string, get ready to clean. But that's for later. Again, at first I was worried. He's designed to be that annoying fish out of water who comes in like a wrecking ball to mess up our main character's plan, so they can very easily come off as annoying to the audience too. But thankfully I was pleasantly surprised here. They managed to reel in his character just enough so that he isn't too overbearing. I think that mostly comes down to the fact that Johnny very quickly becomes aware of the setting he's in. You know, he's not oblivious to the fact that he's in a place filled with a bunch of dangerous monsters. He's not presented as a dumb guy, he's more of a slacker, shaggy type. And because of that, they very swiftly dodge that bullet of me grinding my teeth every time he appears on screen. If I were to have one small complaint though, it's that I feel like him and Drac become friends too quickly. Like he goes from being at his angriest with him to having a fun time in the span of minutes. Could have definitely done more there other than him just riding a table and suddenly everything being fine. With that, the only other issue I really have with the plot is that none of the secondary characters have anything to do. We have Frankenstein, the Mummy, Invisible Man, and Werewolf. They all have names. I do not bother remembering them. But they don't add anything up until the very tail end of the film. Their only purpose is to annoy Drac when he sees that Johnny is getting along well with them. But hey, how could you have Adam Sandler as your lead without his band of SNL friends joining him? It's a package deal. Yep, Kevin James, Steve Buscemi, David Spade, they're all here voicing different monsters. And while this may sound like a turnoff, they all end up doing pretty good performances. Better than Selena Gomez, at least. Jesus, she just reminds me of Miley Cyrus and Bolt. She's not a very good voice actor. One of the highlights and what's definitely worth praising about this movie, though, was the animation. Before Spider-Verse and Mitchell's vs. the Machines, Sony Pictures Animation didn't exactly have the best track record with such blunders as the Smurfs and Emoji Movie. But when they try on a film, they really fucking try. And I think that's incredibly apparent with the animation of this film. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs blew me away when I saw it. The visuals of that movie, especially for the time, is phenomenal. Instead of doing what the competition was doing, and trying to make an animated feature that shot for trying to be as realistic as possible, it instead took the opposite approach, and tried to stretch its 3D models as much as they could, to try and replicate a lot of the techniques used within traditional 2D animation, with the most obvious thing being how much these characters can squash, stretch, and bend. They can pull more than 6 basic emotions, and are incredibly versatile. Hotel Transylvania thankfully further ran with this approach, and I think a huge thanks to that came from the film's director, Genndy Tartakovsky, who was previously known for creating such shows as Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack. Watching this movie after a couple episodes of Dexter's Lab really shows you how much he had his hands in this project. The storyboarding and especially the posing is just so fucking strong, with him oftentimes redrawing poses and storyboards to make them as expressive as possible. That was something very apparent of Hotel Transylvania. Watching it now, it may seem a tad primitive, or not pushed enough, but that's only because we're seeing more and more studios push 3D animation to its limits. But you have films like this to thank for that. It's a real joy to look at. I especially love the scenes that are still storyboarded like flat 2D cartoons, and we see the characters either fully front-facing or with a profile shot. The camera trickery done here is astonishing. So, there we have it. I was initially worried I wasn't going to like this movie anymore, but not at all. For what it is, it's a decent little film about the relationship between a father and daughter. Now we can just move. So listen, all you singers from here to Beijing, you better crash the box string, get ready to clean, cause if love was money, you be yeah. That's why I didn't continue watching these movies. I vividly remember being 10 years old and seeing this on the big screen, and proceeding to recoil into my chair out of second-hand embarrassment, vowing to never watch another one of these films ever again. Look, if a 10-year-old thinks you're cringe, then that's not a good sign. See, there's something I forgot to mention. This film is a comedy. Is it a good one? It's very hit or miss. Sometimes it can catch you off guard and be pretty funny.
Who is that?
Oh, are these monsters gonna kill me? Not as long as they think you're a monster.
Huh?
That's kind of racist.
But when it misses, it really misses. And I just kind of shiver out of embarrassment despite being all alone. I don't know, I get that Shrek made it somewhat mandate that every animated movie ever needed to end on a dance party ending, and I'll accept that, but you let Adam Sandler rap, and that's where I draw the line. Even still, everything considered, Hotel Transylvania is a solid little movie. It sets its goal pretty low, like really low. We basically have a film that takes place in one location, but it manages to achieve being a fun, silly movie with a lot of heart, mostly coming from the relationship between Mavis and Drac. Starting off relatively strong here, aren't we? But we've still got 3 films left, so it's too soon to make any judgments. Although, I do wonder where they're gonna go from here. Everyone major had a pretty complete arc. Boy, I sure hope this isn't a pointless, unnecessary sequel that retreads everything done in the first. You called it. It's a pointless and unnecessary sequel that retreads everything done in the first. Let's get started, shall we? Hotel Transylvania 2, released a whole 3 years after the first in 2015, although it did lose one of its original writers. Well, maybe he wasn't important. Who'd he get replaced by? Yep, okay. Hotel Transylvania is not a good movie. It's not even an alright movie. It's bad. Apparently this series has a huge online fan base, but that's something I've never really looked into, so I have no idea how these movies rank in the eyes of the hardcore fans, but from my own experience, this film sucks. To start, in the first 15 or so minutes, the pacing is so goddamn fast. They're desperately trying to cover so much ground in such a short time span that I honestly would have preferred if we just started off with a time skip. What did we really learn from all this? They get married, have a kid, and Drac wishes that he would be a vampire. Like, there we go. Why couldn't we just start it like that? Oh yeah, that's right, because then we wouldn't have gotten to see all the uncomfortable shots of Mavis being pregnant. I bet some people really liked that. Like, literally, within this entire opening, I want to say, like, 6 years pass. Mavis and Johnny are now, like, 24 and 27 respectively, yet she still looks like an 18-year-old, and Johnny... Well, Johnny always looked 15. So much like the first one, Hotel Transylvania 2 follows an incredibly basic plot. Mavis and Johnny are married and had their first kid, but nobody knows if he's going to be a human or a vampire, and so Drac tries to distract Mavis by having Johnny take her to California, as he and his band of monster SNL pals, joined by Blobby for some reason, he doesn't add anything, try to teach the kid how to be a vampire. My main takeaway from this story was... Dude, they're fucked.
Aha, Jonathan, you are banging my daughter!
My main takeaway from this is that they had no clue on what to actually do with a sequel here. Let's start with Mavis and Johnny. They do nothing here. Mavis just acts protective of her son and wants to move to California to give him a better life, and so her and Johnny go there. For about 2 scenes that is so unbelievably short and clearly only done to get them out of the picture for a while for silly Dracula nonsense. But not even that feels right. One of my biggest praises for the first movie is that despite him fucking up a lot and doing shitty things, you still understand why Drac is doing what he's doing, and still remains to be a likable protagonist. However, all they do in this one is have Drac say things that would make you sympathize for him, but then never actually follow up on any of it through his actions. Such as how he keeps saying that he'll accept his grandson whether he be a human or vampire, but through his actions, does nothing but show how desperate he is for him to be like his family. But like, just take a fucking picture of him, that would solve everything. The film goes out of its way like twice in the beginning to show us that Mavis and Drac don't appear in photos, so just do the scene with a kid, I don't understand. But then this is all completely abandoned in the last 30 minutes, when we're introduced to a brand new character, Drac's dad Vlad. Wow, that's a mouthful. He's the film's antagonist. We don't see him until there's like fucking 25 minutes left. He comes in after Mavis returns from California for their kid's birthday, and now, oh no, they have to stop him from ruining everything because he hates humans. If this sounds like it comes completely out of left field, it's because it does. Before this point, we had only like 1 or 2 mentions of the guy, but now he's supposed to be the main antagonist? Wait, no, he's not even the main antagonist. He turns around and regrets his decision in the span of a couple minutes, and now the main antagonist is this giant bat guy who was like his henchman that got like a second of screen time previously, and now we have a big fight scene with a bunch of them in this fucking wacky action scene, and this fucking movie goes completely off the rails in the last third. It falls apart. It really just feels like they had no idea what to do with this story. Like they had a decent idea of where to go, but not actually how to flesh it out. If you want my opinion... Oh, you don't? Well, I'm giving it anyways. I think this should have had it all focus on Drax's dad, with him being disappointed in his son for allowing a human to get with his daughter, and therefore come in between his legacy. We don't see Drax worry that Mavis is gonna leave him forever, because that was literally the conflict of the first one. We don't need it again. And we've already seen him come around on Johnny being a human. We don't need that arc again, just with his grandson this time. And there's still nothing for these fucking side characters to do. I seriously don't know why they're plastered all over the posters when they never do anything. Now, you may be asking yourself, geez, Mark, is there anything you liked about this film? And the answer is, no, not really. One thing that is better is the animation. The expressions are pursed a lot more, along with the posing and such, which is impressive since the first movie already did a great job at that. And it is cool that we finally got to see more of this world. We're not simply restricted to the hotel. But I don't know, now we come to the problem that a lot of the characters from the first movie stand out way too much when paired with locations and characters designed for the second. Especially with the more humanoid characters and sets such as the camp. Drax just stands out way too much here. I think it'd be funnier if it were that way because of the whole fish out of water aspect. He literally looks like he doesn't belong on Earth. But no, that was not intentional at all. You know what it reminds me of? Like, a lot of those promotional crossovers for these kids movies that do, where we have like fucking minions or shit running around some guy's house showing him how to use the broadband internet. But that definitely wasn't intentional, because fucking Johnny is the most expressive character here and he's a human, so I really don't know what happened. Well, maybe they took time away from designs to focus on the writing and humor. Like, how did that improve?
What's that thing on your head? Looks like my grandmother's boobies.
Oh, it didn't. I didn't think it was physically possible, but the humor in Hotel Transylvania 2 managed to be 10 times worse than the original. Like, it was a bad sign when the breakdancing started only 15 minutes in. Come on, at least the first movie had the decency to leave that shit till the end. And now we all know how much they love their wacky, relatable jokes, right? Now we get hilarious jokes about the monsters going on Facebook. It was somebody's job to sit and model a 3D Sony phone. I hope the Sony executives bought their family a nice casket.
The strain and the strife.
Shut up!
Shut up!
And you bet your bottom dollar we end this shit in another epic dance party ending. Although at least they had the foresight to not give Adam Sandler the microphone. And there we have it. Hotel Transylvania 2. It sucks. I have never in my life seen a more unnecessary, pointless sequel make its way to the big screen. It's evident that whoever worked on this had no idea on how to take the franchise in a new direction, and so just made what is basically the first movie again, but with a baby. How this movie made $500 million at the box office is beyond me. But it did, so you know what that means. Hotel Transylvania 3, baby. I mean, hey, it can't be that much worse than this one, can it? Oh, cool, it wasn't anywhere near as bad. Some might even call it decent. Or alright, or good. Oh, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But it earns its alright rating in my books. But how is that even possible? The second movie was struggling for a place to go with these characters. What could the third possibly do different? Well, it simply just takes the characters and plops them in a new setting for the entire runtime. In Hotel Transylvania 3, we see our lovable protagonists take a relaxing vacation on a cruise from the Bermuda Triangle all the way to the no longer lost city of Atlantis. First of all, I want to say this movie has a way more interesting opening than the previous, actually setting up the main villain ahead of time, being this guy Van Helsing, who wants to kill all monsters because of family legacy and the sorts. But wait a minute, the ship's captain looks awfully familiar to him. I wonder if that's gonna... Oh, okay, good. They reveal that it's his granddaughter very quickly. I appreciate them not deciding to waste our time on some twist villain bullshit. Now, the main focus here is still on Drax, with him trying to get back into the dating scene while keeping it from Mavis, as he's worried about how she'll react. This predictably leads into Drax falling in love with the ship captain, who's secretly trying to kill him. But oh no, she starts to fall in love with him and wants to go against her grandfather's wishes, and they all dance to dubstep. The end. Wait, what? Oh yeah, this was 2017. I forgot this was the dubstep era. Remember when Deadpool 2 made like 15 dubstep jokes like 2 years after everyone had already moved on from it?
I love dubstep!
Anyways, I actually don't mind the setup at all. Not only does it give us a brand new setting for our characters to explore and make jokes out of, but it also gets to the point faster. We don't need a 20-minute setup. I just want to see them on the funny boat. This film in general is just a lot more creative than the last. Shows us how this world works a lot more, and how there are places for monsters to go that isn't just the hotel. I like the Gremlin Airways thing. The Atlanta set was a lot of fun too. Was surprised to see that they treated the exact same way they do in that new shitty SpongeBob movie, with it being this Vegas knockoff. If I were to have any complaint, it's that I feel the story wears out its welcome and starts to drag near the end. This is the longest one so far, by only about 15 minutes or so, but still it's the longest. And I don't really think that extra time was necessary. Around when the captain lady was falling for Drac, I was starting to lose interest. Like, just because I think this one is better than the last doesn't make it good by any means. It's got its own fair share of issues. For one, they still don't have a lot for the side characters to do. Not even Mavis or Johnny have much presence here. I still don't even really get why Mavis was so mad about Drac getting with someone. It's like they simply just role reversed to the first movie. Is she mad because this lady's design is fucking hideous? Seriously, what's with that chin? That thing could cut glass. Genuinely wouldn't be surprised if this were just a repurposed model from the cancelled Sony Popeye movie. And this one definitely has it the worst in terms of that zing shit. If you don't know what that means, I'm gonna assume you've never watched any of these movies before. And I don't blame you. I've refrained from mentioning it till now because I couldn't even say it without getting secondhand embarrassment, but they mention it so fucking much in this one that I just gotta. Zing is something from the first movie. Basically, it's a monster's love at first sight. It's why Mavis likes Johnny so much. It's also what Adam Sandler raps about at the end of that one. I don't know, I get it's a kid's movie, but it's just such a boring way of going, we have to be together, the plot demands it. She doesn't like me? No, that's not possible, we zinged! That's the quality of the dialogue in this movie. I guess I like that the sequel builds upon an element of the first one, but you're building upon something that I already find lame. Especially since the captain lady only starts to like him after the second he mentions that his wife died. Why is that a turn on? Ladies? Anyone want to answer me? No? Good. To get back to positives, this one is definitely the best so far in terms of animation. They really are pushing these character poses and expressions beyond what I thought was even capable. I like Drac's dumbass Charlie Brown smile. And once again, in terms of sets, it's most definitely where the animation shines. I especially like the scene of them scuba diving where they can't speak, so the characters' intentions and actions have to purely be conveyed visually. Does a great job at displaying why this type of animation works so well. Although, if there is one bit of animation that really got to me, it has to be this moment with this dumbass monster baby looking thing, where there is no frames whatsoever in between standing still and fucking rocketing off at sonic speed. I know a lot of people find this to be the best one in the franchise, for reasons other than Mavis being shown in a bathing suit surprisingly, and I can definitely see why you may think that. It feels a lot more like a movie compared to the second, and is a lot wackier compared to the first. But for me, I see it as just kind of middle of the road. The first still edges out personally, because I feel like it did a better job at exploring the main characters and giving me a reason to like them. Still though, we've had 3 movies now exploring Drac and Mavis and shit. You have like 10 other secondary characters who have almost no plot importance in any of these movies. And you're introducing more! Now with Vlad being a mainstay character in this one, and them even having this brand new giant dog who is clearly only added for marketing reasons. You know, that's the problem with being limited to movies. You have to make sure that each of them is big enough in scope to warrant the runtime, and make people interested. And with such a large cast of widely different characters, I actually think the series would benefit a lot from being turned into a TV show. So it was turned into a TV show. I feel like before we head into the 4th and final film in the franchise, it would be cool to take a minor detour into the Hotel Transylvania cartoon that was on Disney Channel back in 2017, around the same time as this movie actually. I never knew of anyone who bothered to watch it. This is my first time too. I also don't think it did very well in terms of ratings. It only ran for like 50 episodes, so I'm curious to see what everyone was missing. Not much apparently. So this show takes place before any of the movies, with Dracula going away on vacation and leaving his sister in charge of the hotel with Mavis. So all I have to say, this was incredibly mindless and boring. Dracula does appear a couple times though.
What are you doing in my room?
That's not Adam Sandler, is it? He somehow does an even worse Dracula voice. For what it is, the rigged animation was kinda decent, I'll give it that. I don't know, I feel like I'm one of the few people who prefers rigged animation over frame by frame for new animated shows. It's easier to avoid that very stiff and lifeless feeling. A lot of the newer ones come off as, like Owl House or Amphibia. Whoops, I shouldn't have said that. Anyways, it's only really good on Mavis though. She was clearly the character they put all their effort into. Like Frankenstein, the Mummy, and Blobby were kinda shitty looking. Oh yeah, that's right! Okay, so in this show, they're all younger and different characters because I guess they didn't want to have Mavis pal around with her dad's friends the whole show. And or Paul Blart didn't want to reprise his role. Like I said, it just feels mindless. Like its only motive is to keep the attention of a little baby.
Oh no. Yep, you've got the nose picker from that human tribe across the way.
Honey, have you seen the baby? The nose picker.
Like, everything is moving way too fast. That wasn't even a joke, so why include it? I don't know, maybe I'm being too harsh. With a big production like this, it becomes very easy for certain intentions to go unseen or lost in translation. I have nothing more to say on this thing. This was a complete waste of time. I apologize.
Nah, I just sent him a GIF.
From what I understand, this movie had a really rocky development history, originally supposed to come out in theaters until that date kept getting delayed and delayed. I can only imagine they thought this whole pandemic thing was going to end soon, but they eventually caved in and decided to release it straight to streaming on Amazon Prime. So yeah, this thing isn't making its money back. I assume a bunch of other stuff was going on behind the scenes too. Genndy Tartakovsky wasn't returning to direct, and surprisingly neither was Adam Sandler. Kind of an issue when you have to replace your main character, and I'm sad to say his replacement wasn't very good.
I am extremely proud and honored to give the key to the hotel to...
He's not even attempting a Dracula voice, he's just doing a shitty Adam Sandler impression.
So, let's get on with the party!
I ate Adam Sandler. Yoo-hoo! I'm in here with the pizza!
Despite acknowledging stuff from the sequels, such as their kid and the Captain Love Interest lady, the plot of this movie desperately wants you to not remember the events of the second and third. The story follows Dracula, who's about to announce his retirement, leaving the hotel to Mavis and Johnny. But after remembering that Johnny is incompetent, he decides to lie to him and say that he can't have it because he's not a monster. So with the help of Van Helsing, Johnny gets turned into a monster, with Drac and his friends accidentally being turned into humans. Right off the bat, they really want to drive home the fact that Drac eats Johnny, but like, that was only something from the first movie. In the other two, Drac didn't really seem to have any sort of issue with him, other than the occasional moment of annoyance. But here he fucking despises the guy. And remember how I praised the fact that in the first movie Johnny remained a likable character, due to them not making him an oblivious idiot? Well, now he's an oblivious idiot. He just runs around screaming all the fucking time and doesn't listen to a thing anybody tells him. He's so fucking annoying. The entire gimmick is that it's a solo Drac and Johnny adventure, but each and every scene they have is the same setup. Johnny is having fun and being oblivious to the danger around him, while Drac gets injured in some way. That's not funny, it's sad because I don't think Drac deserves any of the shit that's happening to him. Sure, he lied, but I wouldn't want this fucking bozo running my hotel either. He hasn't proven that he's capable of anything. And even worse, he comes around on Johnny in the exact same way that it happened in the first film. They fly around for a bit and have a fun time, and suddenly he appreciates the fact that sometimes he needs to let loose and not worry so much. How do you not fucking realize you're doing the same thing? I don't get it. I wrote a whole bunch of notes nitpicking every little thing about this movie, but why bother? All I need to say is this. Tyler Ninja Blevins has a 2-second cameo that amounts to nothing. That's where the filmmakers' heads were at. Lastly, I can't even give this one a plus for the animation. Sometimes it looks good, yeah, but at other points it's incredibly stiff, which is really noticeable on characters like Drac, who are usually very animated. Maybe COVID had something to do with that, I don't know. And in other cases, I'd argue it's way too animated if that were possible. This is mostly an issue with Johnny, though the rest of the characters are fine, but he's just a fucking spastic. I don't know what else there's to say. This movie sucks. The Invisible Man wasn't hot. 2 out of 10. And there we have it. Kinda went out on a low note, but that's the entire Hotel Transylvania franchise. Bar a few shorts that I don't care enough to look at, but I'm sure they're fine. I gotta say, these series of films are not what I expected them to be. That being that they were a lot worse than I thought they were. Not even the first one was as good as I remember. At most I'd say it's an alright to good family film, but it is ultimately forgettable, much like the sequels. If I were to give these any kind of ranking as I'm known to do, from best to worst it'd go 1, 3, 2, and 4. But even then, at its highest points, I don't care for these all that much. What a shame. But hey, at least it's over and done with now. The 4th was confirmed to be the last, which means once again, we as a society are safe from the clutches of Adam Sandler.